Hey all, welcome back into a video. So we got something to talk about. The back and forth between Microsoft and Sony about the whole Activision deal. Oh, it's getting very interesting. Things are getting spicy in here. Oh boy. As Microsoft has responded back to Sony's claims about the whole deal is like anti-competitive which is kind of ironic coming from a corporation like Sony. But anyway, let's get to Microsoft's response, shall we? Last month, Sony told Brazil's regulatory body CADE, which like many regions is currently studying the proposed deal for approval, that the deal couldn't influence players to switch from PlayStation to Xbox. At the time, it's argued Call of Duty is so popular it influences viewers' choice of console, and that the community is so loyal users entrenched enough that even if a competitor had the budget to make a similar product, it would not be able to rival it. Now in a 27-page document relating to the acquisition, Microsoft has replied to CADE, attempting to dismiss Sony's claims. In the report transcribed by VGC, Microsoft notes that while numerous third parties, including Ubisoft and Bandai Namco, gave response, Sony was the only one that claimed COD was in a genre of its own. With no competition, only one third party, Sony, presented materially different opinions than the applicants and the other third parties consulted by the SG. Sony's isolating this understanding curiously even contradicts itself in response to layers detailed below. Microsoft goes on to state that Sony does not want to see Call of Duty games on Game Pass on day one because it is resentful to having compete with Microsoft's Subservice. Oh, first shots fired there, buddy. You remember how that whole rumor about Sony was paying developers to keep their games off of Game Pass? And I find it quite funny that Sony doesn't want it caught on Game Pass because they fucking know, because the Call of Duty franchise represents such a huge, revenue stream for Sony. Why do you think they went so aggressive on the marketing deals, starting with which I believe it was Black Ops 3, if I remember correctly? Because I remember it was in the middle of the 8th generation where Sony got the marketing rights for Call of Duty. And I said that probably helped. Quite honestly, that helped a little bit with definitely with Sony getting more market share. Last generation how it was so dominant. So yeah, so there is the argument like where marketing deals definitely help sell a console for third party games. And that's why like Sony goes after them so much, especially the bigger ones. Like Hogwarts Legacy, for example. Sony's got the marketing deal for that, so you probably won't see that in Game Pass anytime soon. So, anyway, continuing. Sony's public statements on subs games in its response to the SG letter are clear. Sony does not want attractive subservice to threaten its dominance in digital distribution market for console games. Bingo! That's what it's really all about. Sony is fucking afraid of Game Pass taking away their dominance. They are so fucking terrified of it. They are so freaking terrified of it. That's why they are speaking so negatively on this deal, because they're afraid Microsoft will eat up their market share. And realistically, despite Call of Duty being multiplat, still even after this acquisition, so I don't know why Sony's so worried about losing Call of Duty, which they won't. They're not going to lose the games. Like, Microsoft has said that clear. Like, why the hell would they, as they explain later on. So, anyway, let's continue. In other words, Sony rails against the introduction of new monetization models capable of challenging its business model. Microsoft also denies Sony's claim that Call of Duty is a category of games in of itself, despite the fact that it has a loyal following. Saying that Call of Duty has a loyal following is a premise from which does not follow from the conclusion that game is a game category per se. Sony's own PlayStation, incidentally, has an established base of loyal brand players. That's an understatement. Such a finding, however, does not lead to the conclusion that the PlayStation or any branded product with loyal customers is a separate market. Extrapolating from such a finding to the extreme conclusion that Call of Duty is a category of games per se is simply unjustifiable under any quantitative or qualitative analysis. So obviously, Microsoft is, essentially shutting down Sony's claim about Call of Duty being a whole gaming genre of its own, which it's not. Like, there are plenty of other military shooters out there. I mean, hello, Battlefield, Medal of Honor. I know Medal of Honor isn't really as relevant anymore, but it's still a military shooter. So, I mean, there's plenty of others out there. Like Ghost Recon, that's considered a military shooter, so that's another one out there. And that's by Ubisoft, who also spoke on the whole acquisition. So, which they weren't negative about it really at all. So, I mean, I guess you could say Apex Legends, but that's like kind of a more near sci-fi genre in that sense, rather than Call of Duty, which is like expanded like both features again past, in modern. So anyway, let's finish this up. It also lists 5 reasons arguing against Sony's claim that the addition of Activision Blizzard to Game Pass will lead to an unattainable lead in subservice for Microsoft. According to Microsoft, this claim is wrong because 1. It's not part of Microsoft's strategy to remove content from players, and Call of Duty will still be on PlayStation's paid title. They've said that numerous times. Anyway, data shows that players see subservice as only one way to pay for games. I completely agree with that. Anyway, Sony's claim ignores the dynamic nature of subservice and the fact that Sony has its own too. 4. Redacted info. There are numerous other game distribution channels and subservices, many of which include content that is not available on Xbox. I see what Microsoft is doing there. They're calling Sony out on their bullshit, where Sony pays developers to keep their games off of Xbox. Hello? Final Fantasy VII Remake? Where's that on Xbox? So, where the hell is that? So, I have a feeling that if Sony hadn't paid for the time exclusively on that, it probably would have been a day one multiplayer. Just a speculation on my part. I know people bring up Street Fighter V, but I keep hearing things on and off about apparently Sony helped with funding with that one. So I don't know how truthful that is because that situation is pretty murky. So I mean, I guess you could say Sony took away Spider-Man and Wolverine from Xbox, but here's the thing about that one. As much as I kind of agree with it. But Microsoft passed on Marvel, but that was at a bad time, though, to be fair. So, because, with the whole Xbox One disaster, but, bad timing. But now, they've got no excuse. I think some of their studios would do great with Marvel IP. So, but hey, that's just me. Anyway, continuing. Microsoft also claims that arranging exclusivity deals has been at the heart of Sony's strategy. Bingo! Like I just said. To strengthen its position in the games industry, and that as well as having its own first-party exclusives. Yep, it also has exclusivity deals with third-party publishers. Hello, motherfucking Square Enix. They are the worst with that. It also alleges that Sony actively tries to hamper Game Pass growth by paying sub-devs for blocking rights in return for them agreeing not to add their content to Game Pass. Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh, so that rumor about Resident Evil 8 was goddamn true. Oh, things are getting spicy in here. Ooh, so that rumor was 100% legitimate. I am convinced of that now, more than ever. It definitely was. I mean, remember the whole Apple Epic deal when that was going on? Apparently Sony's forcing devs to pay them to do crossplay. You remember that whole shit? The whole Fortnite situation? Where essentially the industry bullied Sony into allowing it. Pretty much. So, all that shit was true. And here's the thing about Sony. They've done this for decades. Look what happened to Sega, infamously. I believe Final Fantasy VII was originally on the N64, and apparently there was something going on where that never happened. I don't remember. This was so long ago. So, that's kind of history at this point. And let's see, like I just said, Resident Evil 8. So, it's been over a year later, and that's still not on Game Pass. So yeah, Sony definitely has something like that. I don't expect. So I have a feeling that Sony's market deal prevent any Call of Duty games from ever showing up on Game Pass, especially older ones. So, but then again, Call of Duty just sounds like freaking crazy. So Activision doesn't really need to. So, anyway. Finally, and perhaps the strongest indication yet that COD will remain multiplat, Microsoft claims that not having Call of Duty on PlayStation wouldn't make much business sense because it would only be profitable if enough people jumped over to Xbox to make up for the money lost from not selling PlayStation copies. In its first response to Microsoft's proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard, Sony said it expects Call of Duty games to remain multiplat due to contractual agreements. And the word going around is where Sony has contractual agreements with Activision for the next 3 Call of Duty games, and that includes Modern Warfare, this year's Modern Warfare 2. So, Modern Warfare 2, I think I remember reading that they're skipping 2023, so 2024 and 2025. So, yeah. So it seems like for the next 3 years, Call of Duty will still be multi-plat, at least for the foreseeable future, But I highly doubt they'll ever change the future anyway, so I don't see that ever happening. I really do not. So, it's essentially another Minecraft situation. Like, why the hell would Microsoft give up all that revenue? It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. I mean, now, like Microsoft, now all Activision Blizzard's other IP, sure, you could make an argument where that could go exclusive. I know Sony fanboys like to bring up Bethesda, but here's the thing: Bethesda's titles don't make as much as Call of Duty does. That's the big difference here. Bethesda's IPs don't make as much as Activision, and especially Call of Duty. So, I mean, what Bethesda games are really live service outside of like Fallout 76? But but that game is a whole mess. But besides that, what Bethesda game would really make sense to remain multiplayer? Because most of Bethesda's stuff is single player. That's kind of the whole point. So I mean, that's like the main thing. I mean, like when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, that's gonna be crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if people pick up an Xbox or start building a game PC just for that game, because I mean Skyrim is still huge to this day. So I mean, come on. So yeah. So I mean, so what do I think about this? Oh, like things are really spicing up with this. So it's gonna be interesting to see what Sony, if Sony does another rebuttal to this. But yeah, it's pretty clear that Microsoft is calling Sony out on their hypocritical bullshit, considering that like they mentioned, I have a feeling redacted is maybe a mention of like Final Fantasy VII, because I believe Microsoft actually mentioned that in a previous response to Sony about this whole thing, if I remember correctly. But anyway. So I just find it kind of hilarious. It's just sitting back watching these two giant corporations go back and forth over something like Call of Duty, which I kind of get because COD is huge. Don't get me wrong, but again, it's Call of freaking Duty. It's just gonna sell no matter what at this point. I mean, but yeah, it's just hilarious. So anyway, I think I've gone on long enough. I don't really have anything else to say, but I just find it pretty hilarious. But yeah. Like, it's just so hypocritical of Sony essentially complained about something like this when they've been doing the same shit for years. I mean, they were a contributor to knocking Sega out of the console race. Just saying. I know Sega screw-ups, but let's be real, Sony had a helping in that. I mean, if you remember, like, the infamous PS1 announcement, they're not surprised that essentially killed the Sega Saturn, but let's be real. But Sega also screwed up with the Saturn too. With certain things, but But anyway, that's a whole different thing. So anyway, I think I've gone on long enough. What do you think? What do you think of this? Let me know down in the comment section below. And if you like this video, hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel so you do not miss any more videos. And I will see you all in the next video. Later.